This is a great white. The longest time a great white was ever held in captivity was only 198 days. But what makes keeping them in aquariums so hard? First, capturing them is problematic. Second, the tank needs to be adequately prepared. And thirdly, the shark size to tank ratio needs to be adjusted. Sounds complicated? Don't swipe or click away, because here's why there are no great white sharks in aquariums. Capturing a great white is problematic. The main reason you don't see a lot of great whites in aquariums around the world is simple. They're one giant pain in the neck to capture. Sure, humans have managed to capture lions, leopards, tigers, and even tame elephants, but when it comes to apex predators of the sea, we can't say the same thing. The first shark that was ever held in captivity was kept in marine land of the Pacific in 1955. Up until then, we couldn't even come close to a great white. And don't think that the shark lived happily ever after. The Zoo Council had to release it in less than 24 hours because it was banging its head against the aquarium walls. The first shark to ever be held in captivity for more than a day was kept at SeaWorld in 1981, setting a new world record, a whopping 16 days. In the end, they had to release the shark as it proved difficult to feed the large apex predator. Speaking of which, they need live bait. If anyone ever tries to keep a great white in a fish tank, they should know that most great whites neglect being fed. And if they accept it, they'll only consume live bait. This means that the aquarium needs to have giant live fish that are thrown into the tank come feeding time. The first time an apex predator like this ate dead food in captivity was in Monterey Bay Aquarium in 2004, where a younger great white took a chomp out of a salmon fillet. Everyone felt proud to have the very first shark that ate in captivity. They held this female great white at the exhibit for about 198 days, thinking they wouldn't need to release it in the wild. Their goal was to raise awareness about their species and tell everyone about the threats they're facing. However, after this female attacked two other sharks that were near her, they were forced to release it back into the ocean. Aside from the demanding diet, which was slowly turning into a logistical nightmare, the great white started attacking other marine life. Smashed noses. Sharks are really fast swimmers, sometimes reaching speeds of 35 miles per hour during short bursts. They swim this fast because they need to breathe using the oxygen entrapped in the water. More on that later. As such, keeping them in captivity will only cause problems for the shark. The shark will build up speed thinking it's in the ocean, and then smash that like button just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, they would smash into the glass wall of the aquarium. They can't see it because they use electroreception to navigate the waters around them, and the vision of their eyes is actually very poor. Since a glass wall gives off little to no electric charges, sharks can't pick up those and will hit the wall of the aquarium at high speeds. The great white shark at Monterey Bay Aquarium we mentioned earlier completely destroyed its snout because it kept crashing into the glass slides of the tank, self-harming its nose, suffering of open flesh wounds. After this, and of course after attacking the two other sharks we talked about, the great white just had to be released back into the ocean. Transportation is a hassle. Not all great white sharks are captured near the aquarium where they're planned to be displayed. So places like SeaWorld have to hire transport specialists in order to transport the 20-foot, 1,100-pound beasts across the country. When it comes to transporting small sharks, the task is easy. They just place a bunch of tanks in the back of an 18-wheeler, monitor and regulate the salinity of the water in the tank, and the sharks will stay perfectly still at the bottom. Fun fact, hammerhead sharks cause slight problems in transport because they always want to be moving, even in small tanks. These sharks are put in large cylindrical aquariums, which allow the sharks to make continuous loops. But by far the most difficult shark to transport is the great white. The one displayed at Monterey Bay Aquarium took 11 hours to transport, and they needed a specially designed tank like this one to keep it alive. The team monitored everything inside the tank. They incorporated oxygen sensors, video cameras, lighting, and filtration systems, all to make sure that they knew what was happening to the enclosed shark at all times. Once inside the tank at SeaWorld, visitors flocked from all over the country, and park attendance increased about 30%. Migration patterns. Another reason you don't see great whites in aquariums is because they have migration patterns that span hundreds, if not thousands of miles. For example, sharks in the eastern Pacific Ocean migrate between Mexico and Hawaii. That's a distance of around 3,400 miles. Another shark that was tagged by scientists managed to swim across the entire Atlantic in 2014. They migrate because they need to find food. As one part of the ocean becomes scarce, the sharks will embark on a journey to find new feeding grounds. While traveling, the fat they have stored in the livers will be converted into energy. This explains how the shark can stay alive even when they have no food to sustain them on their journey. Great whites simply have the urge to keep moving. Putting them in a tank won't change that. And as a side fact, great whites need vast bodies of water in order to breathe. To breathe, they filter through vast quantities of water using the small pockets of gas trapped in the water as an oxygen source. Making sure the great white is breathing properly is a logistical nightmare for aquariums. Size is a problem. The average size of a great white shark is between 15 and 20 feet. The tanks are usually cylindrical in shape, and they are 35 feet deep, containing about 1 million gallons of water. Housing a 15-foot shark inside a small cylindrical tank is a recipe for disaster. This is why aquariums tend to capture younger sharks. The female shark at Monterey Bay that was held in captivity for 198 days was only 4 feet 4 inches long. It was a young shark, one that still feeds on small fish, but as they get older, the sharks require stingrays, turtles, seals, and much more. Probably one of the reasons why a Japanese great white died 3 days after being transported to the aquarium was probably its size, measuring at 11 foot long. It simply didn't have enough room to move around. Mind the tank. Capturing, transporting, and feeding the sharks is always secondary to another issue: finding the right tank. Making sure the tank is suitable for these giant predators is crucial in keeping them alive. And even then, it's not guaranteed the shark will survive. The sharks we usually see in aquariums are found near the seabed or near reefs, but the great white is a much more pelagic shark. Aquariums have been able to build tanks suitable for even the biggest sharks in the world, like the whale shark. But when it comes to great whites, there's a problem. They need to make sure that the shark will eat once in captivity. So marine biologists first build a giant open tank in the ocean to monitor the shark's activity. The Monterey Bay Aquarium's great white was first kept in a 4 million-gallon ocean pen. After seeing that the shark was eating properly, they moved it to the enclosed aquarium. A very costly and logistically demanding exercise. Building suitable aquarium tanks is not easy. Aside from the large size, they need to be very wide, as the large surface area determines how much oxygen gets dissolved in the water. Any sharp and rough bedding needed to be removed because they can be tough on a great white's soft underbelly. And the tank needs to be decorated conservatively. This means that they can't overcrowd the interior to leave more room so the sharks can roam freely. They simply don't like captivity. All other reasons aside, great white sharks don't like to be held in captivity for even a day. Take, for example, the 11-foot shark that a fisherman from Japan caught inside his net. After seeing the shark inside, they contacted one of the local aquariums on the Japanese island of Okinawa. Okinawa Choromi Aquarium purchased the great white and displayed it in its Sea of Dangerous Sharks section. The aquarium itself is famous for having enormous shark tanks, but just 3 days after capturing it, the great white died. Kiichi Sato, an expert in cartilage fish, said that the great whites don't pair well with aquariums and it's very difficult to keep them alive. And still, they didn't know what caused the shark's death, so as a general rule of thumb, never put great white sharks in an aquarium, regardless of how big you think it is. The biggest story of failure is precisely the Monterey Bay Aquarium story. It was the only aquarium in the world that managed to keep a great white in captivity alive for over 6 months, and after another 5 failed attempts, they wound up canceling the program in 2011. In 5 other instances of holding great whites in captivity, the shortest period was 11 days and the longest was almost 5 months. Still, they were unable to come up with a successful method for displaying great whites in aquariums. We think that these glorious creatures should never be held in captivity in the first place. Animals should be free. If you enjoyed this video, you'll like the next one. This is Koala with Koality Content. See you soon.